Etceteraz mix here for my movie instant recap. Today I'm going to show you a 2011 science fiction and action movie film called In Time. Warning, spoilers ahead. In the future, mankind will have been genetically changed to cease aging at the age of 25. The sole restriction is that when people reach the age of 25, they have just 1 year to live. A person's life is represented by a timepiece on their forearm, and time has become the global currency. The wealthy have the luxury of living indefinitely, while the impoverished struggle to make ends meet. Will awakens and realizes he has fewer than 24 hours remaining. He goes down to visit his mother, Rachel, who is celebrating her 50th birthday. Their jubilation is cut short as they begin discussing finances. Rachel informs Will that she has 3 days to settle payments and loans. Will tells her that he will come up with the money. Rachel claims she'll be out for 2 days working and will repay a loan. She informs Will that he has to meet her at a bus station to give her extra time. She then gives him 30 minutes to pay for a proper lunch. Will kisses her farewell before going to work. Will meets a child named Maya on his way to work. She asks for a minute, and Will cheerfully grants her 5 minutes before sending her out happy. He comes at work and meets his pal Borel. Will works in a facility that manufactures time storage devices. He logs off after a long day of work and receives his pay. Will requests a higher payment, but the distributor informs him that the quota has been increased and he has not met it. Will visits a neighborhood tavern and is invited to bet, but declines after telling one of the men he owes him an hour. Will takes an hour and meets with Borel. Borel is inebriated, pointing to someone who has been purchasing drinks for everyone. He claims that the man has lived for more than a century. Will notices someone monitoring Henry and informs him about it. Will advises the man to go since he is attracting too much attention, but the man refuses. A bunch of males enter, and everyone in the pub rushes out. Borel informs Will that they are Minutemen, thugs that loot and extort. Borel tugs Will away, but he plans to stay and watch. He tells Borel that he would not do anything dumb, and Borel leaves him. Fortis, the leader, expresses his desire for Henry's attention and gives him the opportunity to battle for it. Henry seems queasy and goes to the restroom. He vomits as a Minuteman observes. Will comes in, knocks out the man, and takes Henry with him. Will and Henry flee, but Fortis and his soldiers pursue them. They escape by climbing over a barrier and hiding inside an abandoned building. The Minutemen nearly catch up with them but abandon their pursuit once one of them recognizes Will. Will and Henry become friends, and Henry discloses his age, 105 years. He claims that his mind is exhausted and that he wishes to die, which explains his reckless actions. Will becomes frustrated since he and his mother must work many jobs to survive. Henry then unveils the mysteries of their awful planet. As the cost of life rises, impoverished people continue to die, allowing the wealthy to enjoy more time. The fact is that there is enough time for everybody. The wealthy and powerful, on the other hand, are blinded by greed and the desire to live forever. Henry asks Will what he would do if he had the same amount of time. Will replies that if he had the time, he would not waste it like Henry. Henry considers what Will says, and the two rest. In the morning, Henry devotes all but 5 minutes to Will, who is asleep. Will awakens after a while and realizes he has more than a century in his time. He seeks Henry and discovers him seated on a bridge. As Henry's dying seconds pass, he grins and falls into the river. Later, Will visits Borel and discovers Borel's wife, Greta, cradling their newborn child. Will requests Borel, and he informs him of his time constraints. Will discusses the previous night's events, and Borel inquires about his plans. Will vows to seek justice now that he knows the truth. Will delivers Borel just before departing. Borel, armed with his riches, looks across the street at the pub. Rachel, in the meantime, pays back a 2-day loan and tries to take the bus, but the cost has increased and she is unable to pay the fare. She begs the driver and the other passengers, but none of them are paying attention. She takes off running because she is desperate. They are running out of time, and Rachel's death is becoming closer with each passing second. At last, their eyes met. Despite their best efforts, Rachel and Will are defeated by death. Rachel collapses, dead, into Will's arms. Will sobs, realizing that they were only a few seconds away from leading the life they had always imagined. While his mother has little time, Will suddenly has more than he could have ever imagined. The timekeepers recovered Henry's body from the river the next day. Senior timekeeper Raymond and junior timekeeper Jaeger examine the situation. Just before their departure, Raymond notices a camera atop the bridge. In the meantime, Will is sitting in a vehicle with a fresh haircut and a new outfit on. They cross the boundary between the various social classes, the time zone. They cross several borders on his journey, and each one has a toll that gets more expensive. Will pays a year to cross the last border, and the driver greets him warmly in New Greenwich. When the driver asks Will what his real motivation is for visiting New Greenwich, He replies that he just wants to exact revenge on the locals. Compared to what Will is used to, the city is very different. He gets out of the car and starts jogging right away since he is still accustomed to surviving on little sleep. He gives his arm a quick glance and begins to behave more like someone who is all the time in the world. But Sylvia, a lady, had already taken an interest in him. Asking for a suite, Will walks into a hotel. Will awakens in his opulent chamber, immobile at the age of 105. His mom passed away too soon, and it still bothers him, even if he is sleeping in the coziest bed in the room with the greatest view. He's having gourmet food and beverages for the first time in his life. After tipping the waitress once a week, he pays for his lunch.
Thanks.
Saying he completes things a bit too quickly, the waitress observes that Will acts differently from everyone else. In response, Will quips sarcastically that he sometimes takes his time finishing important tasks. Prior to going inside the casino, Will needs to change into a new outfit. From the surveillance camera, they observe Will enter the timekeeper's headquarters. As to Yeager's report, a guy entered New Greenwich by crossing many boundaries. Raymond claims to know Will's father as they look up additional details about Will on the internet. Sitting at a poker table, Will walks inside a casino. Philippe, a billionaire who lived for ages in his own right, gets to know Will as the dealer makes transactions. After a few poker games, Will has won more than 2 centuries in total. The pot is increased by 50 years by Philippe. Will calls in spite of this, completely confident that the river is the 6 diamonds. Will's attention leaves the game to concentrate on Sylvia, the attractive woman seated next to Philippe. When Philippe reveals over 10 millennia of time, he rolls up his sleeves. He continues by discussing the enormous disparity between the affluent and the poor and defending it as the result of natural selection. He adds 2 more centuries to the list. With about 30 seconds remaining, Will bites and calls, giving up his arm. Will comes out ahead in the end and gets a millennium. This added excitement to Philippe's boring life. Observing Will's gaze on Sylvia, he inquires as to whether Will believes her to be his mother, wife, or grandma. All Will can say is that she's gorgeous. She accepts Philippe's invitation to a party and identifies herself as his daughter. Will uses his profits the next day to buy a brand new automobile, which he drives to Philippe's estate. 3 generations of ladies who appear to be sisters are presented to him there. Will doesn't fit in with the upscale group. He's about to face an isolated night when Sylvia comes over. As their chat takes them to the dance floor, they learn more about one another. When she inquires as to whether he is from the ghetto, Will stays silent and doesn't answer her questions. Sylvia confides in him about her worthless life and how time chains her just when it should be bringing her freedom. Will takes Sylvia outdoors to the beach while Philippe and her spouse keep a close check on the 2 of them during this. After undressing, Will and Sylvia go into the ocean. With the moonlight shining on their arms, they float in the waves, nude and just inches apart. Though Sylvia tries to pull away, the waves draw her in. The beautiful moment is broken as someone shouts from the shore. After they get back, Philippe invites Will to play poker with him. But the timekeepers storm in and face Will. Raymond introduces himself as they set him down in an office. He asks him about how he got more than a millennium's worth of time and why he is in New Greenwich. In his candid response, Will claims that Henry handed it to him and then took his own life. Raymond questions his justification, takes away his time, and puts him under arrest. Will questions him as he departs, wondering why he looks into suicide when ghetto killings occur on a daily basis. His comment shocks Raymond since it makes him think of Will's father. The timekeepers defending him are subsequently attacked by Will, who then dashes outside to kidnap Sylvia. The 2 get into his car and head out via the kitchen. Raymond hits Will's car during a car pursuit, sending them off course. With deft maneuvering in reverse, Will narrowly avoids an approaching vehicle. After misplacing the timekeepers, they take cover beneath a bridge. Sylvia declines to give Will her time when he asks. When morning arrives, they drive over traffic spikes while traveling on the roads. They crash when the tire bursts. The unconscious couple is approached by Fortis and his soldiers. Sylvia gives in to his time stealing, but they rush out, leaving her with only 30 minutes. After giving her a little while, Will and she dash out to grab more time. Before the final 3 minutes, Will taps on Borel's door. Greta responds, telling Will that alcohol poisoning is the reason for Borel's death. Sylvia is worried since she doesn't have much time left. As soon as Will spots her earring, they head straight to the jeweler. He underpays them and gives them only 2 days because he can tell they're desperate. As Will agrees, they quickly run for cover as they hear the timekeeper's sirens. While strolling throughout the city, they discuss Sylvia's family business. She responds that their value is so great that knowing it won't matter when Will inquires about their worth. Will calls Raymond and requests that, in return for Sylvia, Philippe move a millennium to the ghetto city. He will die like his father, Raymond threatens him, if he keeps going. Although Raymond claims Will's father was engaged in riskier activity, Will claims his father died fighting someone. Sylvia settles inside Will's apartment as night falls. Will shares details of her mother's death with her when she inquires about his family. He remembers how, albeit on a different game, his father was also a gambler. His father used his time to play a game that was similar to gambling. Despite his father's wealth, his acts of kindness ultimately led to his demise. They discover they are around the same age, and as they learn more about one another's pasts, their friendship deepens. When morning arrives, he watches to see if Philippe keeps up his part of the bargain. Will perceives no time travel, which depresses Sylvia about her father. Sylvia won't have the time, but Will still plans to let her leave. She accepts his present of a pistol as he takes her to the phone booth, and he ends the visit with a kiss. When her father answers the phone, she chastises him for not giving Will what he wants. Will is standing behind her, unaware that Raymond is aiming a pistol at him, as they converse. When Sylvia turns and sees Raymond, she shoots him without thinking twice. Will shoots a bleeding Raymond with a pistol, but instead of waiting to stop, he gives him some, and the two take off in his vehicle. Sylvia inquires about his plans while they are parked off the main road. Being in a police vehicle, they pretend to be the timekeeper and stop an unlucky motorist. Will and the driver are startled when Sylvia fires a shot because she is too at ease with the rifle. They take the new car and steal from the passenger. The two watch the news about them later that day while sitting in the backseat. Sylvia claims she may still go back to her father, but she isn't interested in going back to her dull existence. With more time on his hands, Will moves in for a second kiss. Philippe convinces his partners at his office that he did not pay the ransom. They don't think he can fix this problem, but before Philippe can clarify, Raymond walks into the room. He informs Philippe that her daughter has expressed no desire for rescue. Philippe apologizes and says that Stockholm Syndrome is to blame for his daughter's obstinacy. Raymond tells him he is going to arrest his daughter, but she refuses to move. They don't think he can fix this problem, but before Philippe can clarify, Ray stays indifferent and walks away as Philippe tries to buy him off with his time. Sylvia learns appropriate pistol handling from Will the following day. As they discuss Will's idea to give the people time, she offers to assist him in obtaining the time he requires. Unexpectedly, a vehicle smashes through the glass panes of the neighborhood loan shop. With as much time storing device theft as they can manage, the two pull off a robbery. The borrowers all rush in, and they are encouraged to take as much time as they need. Later on in the day, Will distributes time as a charitable act to Greta, Maya, and even the timeline distributor. For a while, Fortis will not stop harassing and killing people. Then he notices a 10-year prize for finding Will and Sylvia displayed. Philippe watches the news in the interim and learns that his daughter is persistently trying to steal from him. Later that evening, the hotel where the two are staying is surrounded by Raymond and the timekeepers. When Will and Sylvia realize they're being encircled, they flee by jumping out the window. Raymond follows them through the dimly lit passageways and streets. As they ascend the rooftops, a gunfight breaks out. Raymond is lost as they board the bus. Fortis keeps looking for Will and Sylvia. He threatens to take their time when questioning a bunch. A guy approaches after one of them passes away and claims to know where they are. The two discuss the difficulties they would soon encounter while lounging on the couch at the hotel. Both of them understand that they will perish if they are discovered. Sylvia felt more alive than ever during the time they spent together, and each time they came dangerously close to passing away. Unexpectedly, Fortis and his men knock on the door. Fortis offers Will a chance to play for his life because he feels generous. Will agrees to play strong arm with Fortis when he pulls out his sleeve. Up to the very last moments, Will suffers, but, as Fortis becomes distracted, he turns things around. As his subordinates go closer to the table, he becomes more afraid. Pulling a revolver from his ankle, Will shoots everyone while he drains Fortis. Sylvia and Will watch as prices continue to rise from a rooftop. Will expresses his despair, believing that every time the wealthy steal, the expense of life will only rise. Merely 1,000,000 years, he claims, will separate us. Sylvia concurs, but she has another idea. The following day, Philippe walks inside a building surrounded by a large number of bodyguards. They see Sylvia, who requests to see this father. Will is one of the guards, and he aims a pistol right at Philippe's head. The guards take Philippe captive when he orders them to put down their firearms. A time vault housing a gadget with 1,000,000 years is located in his office. Philippe makes an attempt to clarify that if that time ends up in the wrong hands, civilization will collapse. He asserts that someone will always be prepared to offer the lives of others in exchange for the possibility of becoming eternal. After losing control of his rage and pointing a gun at him, Will manages to calm himself. Philippe hears Will say that even one person's life is not worth achieving immortality. Then the two head out. Meanwhile, Police cars begin to blockade the major thoroughfare. Will and Sylvia's automobile is shot at by the timekeepers, but they miraculously escape unhurt and crash through the toll booth to cross the border. Raymond pursues them with perseverance. When they get to the ghetto, Raymond intercepts them and collides with them just as they are about to reach safety. After walking out unharmed, Will begs Maya to share the 1,000,000 years. Raymond aims a gun at the two, but they manage to get away since the throng of people hides his view. Raymond takes over an automobile, and the pursuit goes on. At last, they collide in the center of the street. Raymond acknowledges that he was raised in a ghetto and that, after discovering ways to break free from poverty, he also came to terms with the harsh reality that the wealth disparity between the affluent and the poor must continue. Raymond becomes aware that his time is running out while they converse. He instantly passes away, and the two attempt to restock theirs. With only a few seconds remaining, they sprint in the direction of Raymond's automobile, which is far away. When Will arrives first, he is given his time. Next, he dashes to Sylvie, who is running out of time. Just in time, the two sprint into each other's arms, allowing them to survive for one more day. People are now entering more costly zones by crossing boundaries. The Minutemen saw their social structure breaking down. Sylvia and Will carry on as usual, heading to a large time bank this time. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, and don't forget to leave a like and comment, it really helps my channel. Also, turn on the notification bell. Peace out.